Hello children, welcome to our numeracy lesson today. This lesson was produced by Rwanda Education Board with support from UNICEF. My name is Teacher John. Still, this lesson is for Primary 5 Mathematics and still comes from our Unit 4. Dear adults, we still encourage you to support the children during this radio learning program. Dear children, in this lesson, you still need your notebook and a pen. Now, let us review what we learned in the previous lesson. Dear children, what did we learn in the previous lesson? Very good. In the previous lesson, we learned about calculating equivalent fractions given a certain denominator. We learned about calculating equivalent fractions given a certain denominator. We learned that we first get the multiplying whole number by dividing the denominator of the equivalent fraction and that of the original fraction. And then we multiply the multiplying factor with the numerator of the original fraction to get the numerator of the equivalent fraction. Dear friends, I hope you did your homework. You know, good children do their homework. Let us check the answers. Remember, I asked you to find the equivalent fractions for the fractions 2 over 3 and 4 over 5, given the denominator 30 for each. Very good. The equivalent fraction with the denominator 30 for the fraction 2 over 3 is 20 over 30. The equivalent fraction with the denominator 30 for the fraction 2 over 3 is 20 over 30. And the equivalent fraction for the fraction 4 over 5 with the denominator 30 is 24 over 30. Very good. Now friends, in today's lesson, we will learn something more interesting. We will be adding fractions using equivalent fractions. But first, let us have a short break. We will be back shortly.
Come along and play with us.
Welcome back, dear children. Like I said before the break, in today's lesson, we will learn about something more interesting. We will be adding fractions, but using equivalent fractions. But first, let us have a warm-up as usual. You will still stand up and chant along with me as you clap your hands, stomp your feet, or make any other movement. This chant is our fraction chant that we had in the previous lesson. Are you ready, children? Let's go. Fractions, fractions, parts of a whole. They are equal pieces like parts of a bread. Half a bread, half a biscuit. A half is a half, big or small. It takes 2 halves to make one whole. Fractions, fractions, parts of a whole. I repeat, let's do it together, children. Are you ready? Let's go. Fractions, fractions, parts of a whole. They are equal pieces like parts of a bread. Half a bread, half a biscuit. A half is a half, big or small. It takes 2 halves to make one whole. Fractions, fractions, parts of a whole. Well done, friends. Children, let us remind ourselves about equivalent fractions. What did we say they are? Very good. Equivalent fractions are fractions that look different but have the same value. Equivalent fractions are fractions that look different but have the same value. In today's lesson, children, like I said, we will add fractions. We will add fractions with different denominators. In each case, we will first make all the fractions to have the same denominator. And we'll do this by looking for an equivalent fraction for one of the fractions to be added. I repeat, we will add fractions, and these fractions have different denominators. In each case, we will first make all the fractions to have the same denominator. And how will we do it? We will do it by looking for an equivalent fraction for one of the fractions to be added. Dear friends, note this one down. Ready? Adding fractions with the same denominator, we add their numerators and maintain the denominator. I repeat, when we are adding fractions of the same denominator, we add their numerators and maintain the denominator. We will have some examples after this short break.
Come along and play with us.
Welcome back, children. Let us have some examples. Example 1. Use equivalent fractions to add the fractions 2 over 5 plus 3 over 10. Children, write down 2 over 5 plus 3 over 10. 2 over 5 plus 3 over 10. Now friends, like I said before the break, we need to first make 2 over 5 and 3 over 10 have same denominators. We need to make 2 over 5 and 3 over 10 have the same denominators. And as you see, friends, our fractions have different denominators, 5 and 10. Therefore, we need an equivalent fraction for 2 over 5 with the denominator 10. Do you remember what we were doing in our previous lesson? Very good. To find the equivalent fraction of 2 over 5 with the denominator 10, we divide 10 by 5 and we get 2. Then we multiply 2 with our numerator 2. Therefore, 2 times 2 equals 4. So our equivalent fraction for 2 over 5 with the denominator 10 is 4 over 10. I know you remember this. We did this in our previous lesson. Now, friends, our fraction 2 over 5 is now 4 over 10. And now we are free to add. Therefore, 4 over 10 plus 3 over 10 equals, remember I told you we added the numerators and maintain our denominator. Therefore, 4 over 10 plus 3 over 10 equals 7 over 10. Why? Because 4 plus 3 is 7. 4 over 10 plus 3 over 10 equals 7 over 10. Remember, when we are adding fractions with the same denominator, we just add the numerators. Very good. If it's confusing, let us have a second example. Note down the steps. You will need these steps in our next activity when you are doing it on your own. Friends, our second example is use equivalent fractions to add 2 over 3 plus 1 over 9. Children, note down, add 2 over 3 plus 1 over 9. 2 over 3 plus 1 over 9. Like I said, friends, we have to first make our fractions 2 over 3 and 1 over 9 to have the same denominators. What are the denominators, friends? Very good. Their denominators are 3 and 9, respectively. So we find an equivalent fraction for 2 over 3 with the denominator 9. You know our second fraction has denominator 9. Our first fraction has denominator 3. So we find an equivalent fraction for 2 over 3 with the denominator 9. You remember in our previous lesson, we learned how to find an equivalent fraction given a certain denominator. So we follow the same procedure. Therefore, friends, we divide the denominators. 9 divided by 3, we get 3. And that means we use 3 to multiply our numerator 2 to give us 6. Therefore, our equivalent fraction of 2 over 3 with the denominator 9 is 6 over 9. Alright, now our question is 2 over 3 plus 1 over 9. And we have seen that 2 over 3 is the same as 6 over 9 because 6 over 9 is its equivalent fraction. Because 6 over 9 is its equivalent fraction. Therefore, friends, when we add 2 over 3 plus 1 over 9 equals 6 over 9 plus 1 over 9. And remember, we just add the numerators if the denominators of our fractions are the same. Therefore, 6 over 9 plus 1 over 9 equals 7 over 9. Therefore, friends, 2 over 3 plus 1 over 9, which is equal to 6 over 9 plus 1 over 9 equals 7 over 9. Note, when we are adding fractions with the same denominator, we just add the numerators and maintain the denominator. Now, friends, let us have a break. We will be back shortly.
Come along and play with us.
Welcome back, children. Dear children, can you try this out on your own? The activity is use equivalent fractions to add the following fractions. A half plus 3 over 8. Use equivalent fractions to add the following fractions. A half, which is 1 over 2 plus 3 over 8. 1 over 2 plus 3 over 8. You have few seconds to do so. I hope you have finished, friends. Well done. Let us check our answer. Like it was with our examples, we need to first make a half and 3 over 8 have the same denominators. We have to first make our fractions a half and 3 over 8 have the same denominators. So we find an equivalent fraction for a half with the denominator 8. We find an equivalent fraction for a half with the denominator 8. Dividing 8 by 2, we get 4. Remember, we divide denominators in order to get the multiplying factor. Our multiplying factor is 4. Therefore, we multiply 4 with the numerator of our fraction, 1 over 2. Therefore, 4 times 1, we get 4. To give us our new equivalent fraction as 4 over 8. 4 over 8 is an equivalent fraction of 1 over 2. And that brings us to our fractions. A half plus 3 over 8 equals 4 over 8 plus 3 over 8. Remember, I have replaced a half with 4 over 8. Therefore, friends, 4 over 8 plus 3 over 8 equals 7 over 8. 4 over 8 plus 3 over 8 equals 7 over 8. Remember again, when you are adding fractions with the same denominator, you just add the numerators and maintain that same denominator. Well done, friends. If you got it right, flowers. And for those who tried out and didn't get it right, thank you for trying. Dear friends, if you have not mastered the steps, I encourage you to keep practicing after this lesson. Dear friends, before we end our lesson, let us review what we have learned today. What have you learned today, dear children? Perfect. We have learned about adding fractions with the help of equivalent fractions. We learned that we first make all the fractions to have the same denominator by looking for an equivalent fraction for one of the fractions to be added. Adding fractions with the same denominator, we add their numerators and maintain the denominator. I repeat, we noted that adding fractions with the same denominator, we add the numerators and maintain the denominator. Dear friends, for your homework, add the fractions 1 over 12 plus 3 over 4. I repeat, for your homework, dear friends, you will add the fractions 1 over 12 plus 3 over 4 and 2 over 5 plus 3 over 10 using equivalent fractions. Dear children, also feel free to also attempt activities on pages 62 and 63 Mathematics for Rwandan Schools, Pupils Book 5. And that is it for today. Thank you for participating. Until we meet again, when you join me for our next numerous lesson. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, 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 teacher. Goodbye, children. See you next time. Goodbye, 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 teacher. Goodbye, children. See you